Hello, welcome to this week's How's the Market, Pensacola. Well, prices starting to slow. Getting a little sluggish, kind of like me after Thanksgiving. Boy, that was, we got finished through that Thanksgiving dinner. I think I slept for a day. Maybe because I needed some sleep, but at the same time, that food was good. Anyways, starting to see the market slow a little. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean all those naysayers that have been talking to me going, hey, the market's going to crash. It's 2008 again. I'm putting all my cash aside and we're going to buy all these foreclosures that you're ignoring. No, it's not what it meant. What it did say was that we're starting to see demand cool off a little. And I noticed that nationally, I've seen about 15 headlines. And of course, if you've watched the show, you know that I watch headlines. And then I read the article because headlines can be very, very, very deceiving. But I read the articles. It started to make sense. I started to look through a few things, talk with some friends of mine around the country. And everybody said the same thing. I actually saw some slowdown here in Santa Rosa County. Put a property up under $160,000 and it sat for a little bit. Shocked me a little. But I think that's just buyer demand slowing slightly. Do I think it'll rev back up again next? And I say next month. I'm already thinking we're in December. As I'm shooting this, it's the end of November still. But next month being January, yeah, we'll probably see some rev up again. But I'm starting to see buyers not be willing to do unrealistic stuff. Got a property listed right now and it needs a lot of work. And they're just not willing to do that right now. So whereas we saw some gobbling up at the beginning of the year, it started to slow. Now, that does not say depreciation. Nothing in here points to depreciation. Nothing points to prices going down anytime soon in our area. The demand is still hot. So, if we had 100% demand and I said we dropped 10%, well, that's still 90% demand. That's huge. So we're still hot, but is it starting to slow a little? Yes. Is that something that both sides of the equation should pay attention to? Yes. As a seller, pay attention. If you're asking way over, understand it's probably just going to sit. I have some people right now, we actually physically went out and got an appraisal, and it came in at a number, and they wanted a number much higher than that. And just because you want the number to be that big doesn't mean it actually is. So you got to kind of watch some of that, and people need to pay attention on both sides of the equation. Again, some of the slowdown is the holidays. We see it every Christmas. All right, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we see a little uptick. This first week or two, we'll see a little uptick in activity for people trying to close by the end of the year. So you can get homestead. Investors are trying to close to start off a year or end of year tax purposes. So there are more tax plays right now. But we're not seeing as much inventory on. Of course, we've had an inventory problem all year, but we haven't seen as much inventory on, which is seasonal. At the same time, we are actually seeing across the country a little bit of a slow. Do I think it's going to impact us so much to where we start going down? As I said earlier, no, I don't. And you'll see the inventory levels here are still, we've got a long way to go before we even get into a neutral market. So speaking of inventories, let's check out our two counties. Let's go. All right, if you haven't seen the show, you don't know, I always start with this slide right here. It says if we have between 6 and 7 months worth of inventory, we have what's called a neutral market. Anything greater than 7 is considered a buyer's market. Anything less than 6 is considered a seller's market. What the slide doesn't say, anything greater than 9, hyper buyers. Anything less than 3, hyper sellers. We jump over to Escambia County. First time watching the show, over here on the left is the purchase values or the list values. On the right is your levels of inventory. So everything is in red except you get to 550 to 600,000. That is 3.1 months. So that's slightly over a hyper sellers and just into a sellers. I would still market this as a hyper sellers. It's just too close. 700,000 plus your luxury in Escambia County, 3.6. You may start to change up your marketing a little bit there. You just may want to start. 540 properties active total, and still, even with some of these demands going down, this is what I wanted to point out in this show. You're still getting 101, 100%. Your 100,000 to 150,000 as of this week showed things selling 98% to 100%. So is there still some negotiation? Sure. But something listed for 200 and you want to offer $130, more than likely you're not going to get it. More than likely. Am I getting contracts for some of my buyers less than full asking price? Yes, I am. Just got one last night. Okay, so yes, I am. But you've got to be strategic with it. There's reasons behind it. So if you got any questions about that, give me a call. We have got inventory levels. Look at this, 150 to 200,000. There's 0.7. Even though I got 51 houses active, the demand is so high it's getting gobbled up, and it's selling between 100 and 101%. Yeah, that makes sense. 81 active. You want to see the demand difference. This is a great example of the demand difference. So 300 to 350,000, we have 81 active, but it's 1.3 months worth of inventory. But if we drop down 1 point to 250,000, or one bracket, excuse me, from 250,000 to 300,000, we still have 81 active, but the demand's higher. So it's only 0.8 months. That's funny because I haven't seen one of those to where it was the exact number both ways. Looks like we got it again too, because 150 to 200,000, we've got 51, and 350 to 400,000, we got 51. But the 400,000 is 1.3 months, and the 200,000 is 0.7 months. So that shows you, even though you've got the same listing numbers, these are demands. So there's a lot that goes into these equations. Let's jump over to Santa Rosa County, see if we have anything out of the hyper sellers, and we do not. Nothing. There is nothing under $50,000 over there for sale at all. 700,000 plus or ultra luxury is still 2.3. So everything is selling for 100 to 101, 102%. Till you get down here to the 100,000, 155 or 150,000. Looks like they got a couple of those at 96 and 98% of list. 305 active. So we actually have added some properties from 2 weeks ago when I did the show. I didn't do the show last week, Thanksgiving. 2 weeks ago when I did the show, looks like we've added a few properties, but still everything is in the super red. So that's numbers for this week. I always want to end the show talking about our instant offer program. I had 2 people ask me about it today. In the instant offer program, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you're still listening to the show, basically it says if you inherited a property or property needs work, or you want to get an investor valuation on it. What would an investor give me if I sold this property directly to them? Call me, I can give you that number. The good thing about calling me and giving me that number is that I can offer you that, and then also say this is what I would put it at on the MLS. The number that I give you could be your floor. And then if you stick it on the MLS and you make more money, you'll just have to be mad at me for making you more money. Sorry. Not sorry. I don't think you're sorry either. But you go into that listing with the confidence of, hey, in 5, 6, 7 weeks, if we don't have this thing under contract, I know I can get this. So there's no questions. We know that, hey, this will work. Let's see if we can get more. If we can't, cool. I know out of the 14, most of them have gotten more. There's been a couple that hadn't. And then a couple of those projects needed to close in 2 weeks. So it's tough for me to put something on the MLS and close in 2 weeks. That's probably going to be more of an investor offer. And they were very, very happy with the numbers. So that instant offer program has seen a lot of success this year. Had a lot of clients that have been happy with it. The information's actually below. I give you all kinds of information on that. So let me know if anybody's looking there for that. I also had somebody call me this week, said, hey, Shane, I watch your show all the time, and I've got this house in my neighborhood that's been vacant for like 3 years. The grass sometimes get overgrown, and nobody's been there for a while. I think there's something to do about it. If you got something in the neighborhood that's that way, and it's in Escambia or Santa Rosa County, give me a shout. I wound up researching it, find out that property was inherited, and they just didn't know what to do with it. They said, we've been holding on to it for a bit. We just wrapped up probate. I think they live in Arkansas. So now we're actually going to bring the property on the market so that, we can get it sold and help the neighborhood. So if you've got something that's just been vacant for a while, I know I was one in the neighborhood right next to me that has had a blue tarp on it since Sally. And I haven't seen a car there. There's no, there's a couple of blinds missing up front. So it looks like the place is just vacant. And I've reached out to them a couple of times trying to get in touch. So I try and help clean up neighborhoods as well. So if you bump into something like that or see something, tell them to give me a call. We'll see if we can't get them taken care of and clean up whatever neighborhood you're in. All right. That's it for the show. I appreciate you watching. Have a great week.
I'm a man on a mission.
My mission is to help people break through all the noise out there and
Don't need no permission.
I want to help you get to actual truth. Don't you just want the truth?